Why is it that two people with the exact same intelligence and the exact same opportunities can achieve completely different results? Seriously, why do some folks just keep pushing despite failing while others throw in the towel so early? Well, let's dive into this fascinating mystery together. Welcome to Beautiful Mind. Today, we're exploring a psychological concept that is, honestly, an absolute game changer. We're looking at something that doesn't just influence how you feel on the inside, but literally dictates what you're capable of achieving out in the real world. To really wrap our heads around this, I want you to just imagine a scenario for a second. Picture two students, right? They're preparing for the exact same super difficult exam. They both have similar intelligence, they both have the exact same study materials sitting right there on their desks, and they both have the exact same amount of time to prep. Their starting points are completely equal. And yet, their approaches are like night and day. So student A studies with this intense confidence and determination. Even when the material gets really tough, they just push through. Student B, however, is constantly worrying. They're doubting their abilities, and the second they hit a difficult chapter, they just give up. The outcomes for these two are going to differ wildly, right? But the key difference here isn't raw talent, and it's definitely not the resources they have. The difference is simply their belief in themselves.
Section 1. Decoding self-efficacy, the missing key to success.
Let's look at this transformational concept originally championed by the famous psychologist Albert Bandura. So what actually is self-efficacy? Well, it's basically a person's belief in their own ability to organize and execute the actions necessary to achieve a specific goal. Now, I want to be super clear here because this gets confused a lot. This is not just general self-esteem. Self-esteem is more about how much you like or value yourself overall. Self-efficacy is a highly specific belief in your capability to learn, to improve, to handle challenges, and to actually succeed through your own sheer effort. At the end of the day, self-efficacy really boils down to one ultimate, incredibly powerful question that you ask yourself. Do I believe I can do this? How you answer that single question in your head dictates so much of your life. It dictates your motivation, your goal setting, how much effort you're going to put forth, and exactly how long you will persist when things get overwhelmingly tough.
Section 2. Bandura's 4 Pillars, the Science of Belief.
Albert Bandura didn't just tell people to believe in yourself. He gave us the actual science of belief, and he divided it into 4 distinct pillars. First up, we have mastery experiences. This is honestly the most powerful source of all. Simply put, success builds confidence. When you actually accomplish a task, your belief in your abilities just naturally grows. Think about an entrepreneur who bounces back from an early failure to finally close their first big deal. Those small, consistent wins create an unshakable foundation of belief. It literally proves to your brain that you are capable.
Number 2 is vicarious experiences. We can gain immense confidence just by observing other people succeed. Imagine an athlete watching a teammate with a very similar build and skill level completely recover from a devastating injury to go on and win a championship. Seeing someone similar to you achieve a difficult goal creates this profound psychological shift. It plants the seed. Hey, if they can do it, perhaps I can too.
Then there's verbal persuasion. Never underestimate the power of encouragement. Constructive feedback from teachers, parents, friends, and mentors matters so deeply. Picture an employee who is staring down an incredibly difficult, highly technical project. A mentor's simple words of encouragement, just reminding them of their past successes and their capacity to figure things out, can dramatically shift that employee's belief and ultimately their performance.
And finally, the 4th pillar, our emotional and physiological states. These matter immensely because stress, anxiety, and fatigue heavily influence our confidence. People often interpret a racing heart or sweaty palms as a sign that they're totally incapable or about to fail. Actually, scratch that. It's not just what we feel, it's how we interpret what we feel. Learning emotional regulation, like maybe interpreting that racing heart as excitement rather than fear, directly improves how capable we feel in the moment.
Section 3. The Power of Resilience, the Ripple Effect.
Let's explore how high self-efficacy creates this massive ripple effect, especially when you come face-to-face with failure. Did you know that failure actually affects everyone equally? We literally all fail. But the critical difference lies entirely in how you interpret that failure. Someone with low self-efficacy hits a wall and says, well, I failed because I'm totally incapable, and they avoid future challenges. But someone with high self-efficacy looks at the exact same failure and says, okay, I failed this time. I just need a better strategy. They view problems as puzzles to be solved, not as some final verdict on their self-worth. And this kind of high self-efficacy mindset completely transforms our everyday reality.
In education, students study more consistently and use way better strategies. Over in the workplace, employees take initiative and actively seek out growth opportunities. In terms of health, this belief is very often the deciding factor in successfully navigating weight loss, sticking to exercise routines, or even quitting smoking. Even in our relationships, people with higher self-efficacy communicate more confidently and manage conflicts far more effectively.
Section 4. Busting belief myths, separating fact from fiction. Before we talk about exactly how you can build this skill, we've got to clear the air a bit and bust some common myths, because it's a really surprising psychological finding that without belief, many incredibly talented individuals literally never utilize their abilities. Myth number 1, self-efficacy means arrogance. Totally false. It's actually realistic confidence combined with a clear understanding of the effort required. Myth 2, it's a fixed trait. False again. It is a highly developable skill. And myth 3, talent matters more than belief. Big false. Talent is completely useless if your lack of belief prevents you from ever taking action. Belief is what unlocks the talent. Section 5. Building your belief. Practical steps to master self-efficacy. The most crucial takeaway from this explainer is that self-efficacy is a highly actionable, practical skill. You can start developing your belief literally today by engineering those mastery experiences we talked about. Start with really small, achievable goals. Take the time to actually celebrate your progress. Learn from your failures instead of just agonizing over them. Observe successful role models around you. Develop new skills gradually, step by step, and actively seek out constructive feedback to help you course correct along the way. It really all boils down to a very simple yet completely transformative mental shift. You have to catch yourself in the moment. When you face a daunting task, you absolutely must replace the definitive, dead-end phrase, "I can't," with the empowering, open-ended realization that I can learn. It is honestly amazing how much power that one small shift in vocabulary holds over your brain's willingness to just try. As Albert Bandura's brilliant theory proves, we so often achieve far more than we initially believe is possible. Success does not always begin with extraordinary talent. Very often, it begins with a simple, quiet belief. I may not know how yet, but I can learn and improve. Self-efficacy transforms possibilities into actual achievements. Thanks so much for watching Beautiful Mind. If you enjoyed this explainer and found it valuable, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. And hey, turn on those notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the fascinating world of psychology. Before you go, though, I want to leave you with just one final kind of provocative thought to ponder. Why is it that some people remain incredibly hopeful even during life's absolute darkest moments? Where exactly does that light come from when everything else around them goes pitch black? In our next explainer, we are going to be exploring hope and optimism, the psychology of never giving up. Can't wait to see you there.